Michigan Democratic Party, the Democratic nominee for Governor Virg Bernero, gave his convention speech, his nominating speech this weekend. And how did that feel to realize once and for all you were actually the Democratic nominee for governor and the general election was a day away?
Well, Michael Patrick, it was great. It was great to be there with a lot of folks who care about Michigan's future and to be there with my family. I'm excited about heading off today on a multi-city tour of Michigan and talk to voters, average residents on the front lines who are toughing it out in this economy. Michael Patrick, we've talked about it many times. I believe that the best way to tell what a person's going to do is what they've done in the past. And that's why I think we're going to win this race, because I've been out on the front lines working for regular people. So has my running mate, Brenda Lawrence. We got 2 Main Street mayors for Michigan, as opposed to a guy who's been, he touts his private sector experience. But when we really dig beneath the veneer and see what his private sector experience is, I think voters will reject that. We don't need a CEO, a chief executive outsourcer. We need somebody who's going to invest here in Michigan, and that's exactly what my track record is.
We were speaking with Nolan Finley a little bit earlier, and he said that your candidacy makes moderates a little bit nervous, especially the business crowd, because you're too tough on Wall Street. What do you say to that?
Yeah, Nolan has continued to try to spin this web that I'm anti-business, and nothing could be further from the truth, and you know it well, being right here in the Lansing area, Michael Patrick. I'm endorsed by the Lansing Regional Chamber of Commerce because I'm all about businesses on Main Street. And yeah, I'm mad about Wall Street because I don't see where Wall Street is helping out businesses on Main Street. I really believe this race, there's a 2-party system in this country, but it's not so much Democrat and Republican. It's really Wall Street versus Main Street. That's the reality. That's the position that Wall Street put them in. I didn't put them in that position. They've done that. They have written off Michigan. Small business cannot get access to capital. They can't get loans. Wall Street took the money, took the bailout, and then doesn't want to invest in Michigan. Why are we investing in Wall Street when they don't invest in us? And we can turn things around right now with the State Bank of Michigan. We have $1 billion. Michigan, the state itself, has $1 billion invested in J.P. Morgan Chase, and they will specifically not invest in Michigan. My point is just common sense. Let's put our money where it can do the most good. Let's put our money here in Michigan banks, community credit unions, who will then loan out the money, stimulating our own economy. We have to lift ourselves by the bootstraps. This is a common sense, pro-business approach. So Nolan Finley, look, is a rigid partisan. Let's call it like it is. Nolan Finley is a rigid Republican conservative who is never going to endorse or support anybody but another rigid Republican. I don't fit his bill. I'm a moderate, middle-of-the-road, pro-business Democrat, which is why I have the Lansing Chamber's endorsement. They know me. They know what I've done. And a lot of business people who are on Main Street here in the Lansing region support me and across the state because I'm about making business work here in Michigan.
How many running mates did you ask before Brenda Lawrence said yes, if any?
Well, I asked none. I interviewed many.
Mm-hmm.
I cast a wide net. I looked at a variety of people. I offered the job to Brenda Lawrence, and she said yes. It's Main Street mayors for Michigan. She impressed me as somebody who shares my commitment, shares my values. She's been mayor for 9 years. She was reelected with 78% of the vote. She beat my margin here in Lansing, so obviously she's getting the job done in Southfield. Like me, she's made the tough decisions. She's set her priorities. She's tightened the belt in Southfield. They didn't raise taxes in her 9 years as mayor. They have a AA+ credit rating, just like we have in Lansing. So she's run a tight ship. This is a strong city, just like Lansing. We're going to build the economy back, city by city, township by township. I want leaders who know what they're doing. It's one thing to be a corporate CEO in the private sector and really not know the realities of government. Brenda Lawrence and I are on the front lines with the people. We're here making the 911 calls get answered, filling the potholes. We know about quality of life issues right here on Main Street, and we can make it work for the state of Michigan. I'll put our credit, I'll put our experience, Brenda and myself, up against Rick and this Cali guy any day of the week. We know more about government, we know more about local and state government, and we know more, Michael Patrick, about economic development. We have both negotiated with businesses to retain businesses and to grow businesses in our communities, something these guys really don't know anything about. What Rick Snyder knows about is growing business in China.
I noticed you got the endorsement of Detroit Mayor Dave Bing last week, too. Clearly a business-minded fellow.
Oh, absolutely. You have to be in Detroit. He's from business, and he's trying to turn things around. They recently got Quicken Loans right in the heart of Detroit, which is a great win. And that's what we've got to do. Our cities need to be the hub of the wheel instead of the hole in the donut. We've got to turn things around. And you know, I announced when we were in the primary, 35 mayors endorsing me. I've got the support of a lot of municipal leaders, and they're on the front lines. They know what it takes. I'm out every day negotiating with business. Right now, Michael Patrick, we're negotiating with GM for this expansion, a $200 million expansion. It'll be 640 new manufacturing jobs. And this is another huge difference between me and Rick Snyder. Rick Snyder has, quote, he said that we should put manufacturing to bed. The notion that we're going to have manufacturing thriving in Michigan, he said, put that notion to bed. He's dead wrong. Manufacturing is absolutely key. You and I have talked many times. We make the things that make America great here in Michigan. We've got to, again, anybody who thinks you're going to have a vibrant economy that works for everybody, for average people, without manufacturing is kidding yourself. If you believe in a society of rich and poor, of shareholders and peasants, then that's the Rick Snyder future. To say that you're going to give up manufacturing and you're going to be a part of moving manufacturing to China and to Mexico, which is exactly what he did, it is the wrong vision for Michigan. Now, he says this is bitter, that this is partisan sniping and griping, and that we should just focus on the future. Hey, where you've been counts. I'm talking about a plan for the future, and a big part of my plan for the future is manufacturing. And by the way, in Lansing, we've grown manufacturing jobs every month this year. We have 1,800 new manufacturing jobs, good jobs in Lansing now. Imagine what we can do for Michigan.
Travel safely, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations. We'll talk again soon. The Democratic candidate for governor, Virg Bernero.